Thor's incredible, easily one of my favorite heroes in the game. I mean, he can solo tank, carry fights, and honestly, a good Thor is a powerful addition to any team. My goal with this guide is to simplify Thor, make it more approachable. I mean, that's my goal in every guide, to help you unlock their full potential and have better games. Thor's one of the best 1v1 heroes and has some of the highest survivability in Marvel Rivals. And to me, Thor excels at pure suffocation, just overwhelming pressure that forces the enemy to react. And I have a playstyle with Thor built around his strongest combo, at least what I think is. And throughout the guide, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to use that with other things, because he does have a couple different combos. I'm going to show you how to use them naturally when they come up in fights, just at the right time, because everything does flow perfectly. There's also some animation cancels that work a little bit differently than you might expect, but once you understand them, they make Thor even more dangerous. And hopefully you have a solid foundation to build on. From there, you can adapt in your own style. Lots to learn, lots to go over. But before we get into it, a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Ridge. Ridge's anniversary sale is back right now, and it's a perfect time to upgrade your everyday carry with up to 40% off their best products. I've been using a Ridge wallet for about 6 years now, and I'm never going back to a bulky back pocket wallet ever. With over 100,000 5-star reviews, Ridge wallets are built for life with a lifetime guarantee, and there's a 99-day risk-free trial. I'm telling you, you'll love it. They're slim, durable, they easily fit in your front pockets, they hold up to 12 cards, and still have room for cash with a cash strap or money clip. Importantly, they also have RFID protection. This keeps your personal info safe from digital theft. They come in over 50 colors and styles, including carbon fiber, leather. You'll easily find something that you like. Could be your favorite college or NFL teams. And hey, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, right? This is my main wallet right now. But one of my favorite products are their key cases. You get rid of your noisy keys, they're slim, they're just perfect. And Ridge also goes beyond wallets, with mag-safe gear, key cases, phone cases, and even luggage, all designed to last. So click the link at the top of the description or in the pinned comment for Ridge's once-a-year anniversary sale and save up to 40% off. And thanks again to Ridge for sponsoring today's video. Let's start with his passive. His entire kit flows through Thorforce. Consume Thorforce to gain bonus health. Landing Mjolnir Bash on an enemy instantly recharges Thorforce. In the center of your screen, there's 3 Mjolnir symbols. These are your Thorforce charges. You gain 100 bonus health per Thorforce used, except for when you use his most lethal ability. We'll go into that later. It consumes all 3 charges, and you get the max 200 bonus health. So overall, Thor can gain a max of 200 bonus health that can be refreshed over and over. You can only consume Thorforce once every 1.5 seconds because that's the cooldown of his main abilities. After you use one of these abilities, you see at the bottom of the screen, it uses a charge. They come back in 1.5 seconds. So how do you gain them back? First, each charge has a base 5-second recovery, meaning you consume a charge, aren't doing anything, it comes back in 5 seconds. But once you use an ability that consumes a charge, Mjolnir will glow blue for 5 seconds. In those 5 seconds, if you land a melee with your primary attack, it gives you a full charge's worth back. A hit while it's blue is worth 5 seconds gained, so it cancels out that 5-second recharge. His primary attack is Mjolnir Bash. Wield Mjolnir to strike enemies. When awakened, Thor can launch lightning arc waves to deal damage. This is his main primary attack, very simple, very basic. He's got a range of 4 meters and deals 45 damage. He attacks every 0.6 seconds. His main attack you're going to be using all the time. And as I get into how to use Thor, most of the time you're just going to be holding this down the entire time. It's good at base, but it's more so about comboing it out. Hammer Throw is a very useful ability. To your right click on a controller's top right bumper, throw Mjolnir forward, which then returns. It can go out 24 meters and can deal 2 separate damage numbers. Going out when you hit an enemy, it deals 70 damage, but if it hits something while it's returning, it's going to deal 30 damage to those enemies hit by it when it comes back to you. This is an ability that uses Thorforce. Once you throw the hammer, a charge gets consumed, you get 100 bonus health, and when it returns, Mjolnir will be glowing blue. Land a hit with it, you get the charge right back. Obviously, this can be used as a cleanup at a distance, but I like to combo it out versus certain enemies, or if I see that they're at a certain health. This is important to know, and I think it's pretty cool. Thor's Hammer Throw can be animation canceled into a melee combo. That means you can use your primary melee and immediately Hammer Throw right after, back to back. The Hammer Throw takes over. It doesn't matter what part of your melee that you're in. It could be the second or third swing. At any point, as soon as you press that button, he stops and throws the hammer. You can and will do this, but also note, with this set of abilities together, this is actually an input cancel, or what's called a ghost cancel. For these 2 attacks, the primary and the hammer throw, the game's input system actually lets both actions happen at the same time instead of resolving them separately, or making one cancel the other, which again, you can do, but When you press the melee and hammer throw together, click both buttons at the same time, the hammer throw overlaps the melee animation, and both land. 45 from your primary, and then 70 from the hammer throw, so 115 damage. So the damage is instant, instead of going back to back, or one after the other. It just looks like 3 hammer hits, but the first one does 115. And Thor's timing allows you to do 3 melees in between. It takes a second and a half for the ability to come back. So to me, at least, the ghost cancel makes it look even smoother and more powerful. But I do want to note that there's still a restriction on the melee speed. It's 0.6 seconds, and that must fully play out if you want both attacks to connect at the same time. Otherwise, just cancel it by pressing one, then pressing the other, and interrupting the melee. But I found that this is just really good to do on a first initial attack if they're up close. And after that, you can start doing your cancel. So if you're right on an enemy, the brawling combo is primary plus right click, then primary, 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 then primary plus right click. So it's 115, 45, 45, 45, 115. But just the first part of this is 250 damage. That kills a DPS hero. 115, 45, 45, 45. But this full combo, not to mention, you're using the Hammer Bash. Each time you do that, you gain 100 health. So the total of this combo is 365 damage and then 200 health. It's wild. But you're not going to use this all the time. This is going to be good when you're up close versus strategists and duelists. It's really good when people are low, because 115 chunk shot really helps go through healing. It's also good versus Thing because you can't move him. More on all this later. Storm Surge is Thor's most important ability by far. Hold the button to spin Mjolnir, then dash forward, knocking back enemies. It's your shift on controller's left trigger. If you tap the button, Thor dashes 10 meters and deals 40 damage if he hits an enemy. If you fully charge it, it takes 2 seconds. Thor dashes 20 meters and deals 60 damage. When you hit an enemy with a dash, you deal damage, but you also carry them. A tap will carry them 6 meters. A full charge will carry them 13 meters. This consumes 1 Thorforce, and it gives you 100 health. You're dashing right into an enemy, you're going to melee them right after and get the Thorforce right back. At its core, this is a mobility tool. Use it to reach enemies, get to flyers, close gaps, get to high places. And at the start of the match, to get to mid, please charge it fully. It's worth taking the 2 seconds because you reach the fight faster. You'll go 20 meters, and by the time you get to mid, your Thorforce will be ready. All 3 charges. But this is part of the main combo I want to show you. Every other combo after that is going to be playing off of this. Because again, I looked at his kit, all the combos. I came to the conclusion there's no need to overcomplicate things. This is one of the most powerful things you can do. You're going to be holding your primary the entire time when you're on an enemy. So holding your left click on controller, holding your right trigger. When Storm Surge refreshes, you're going to tap it. This animation cancels your melee at any point that it's in. The ability takes over and knocks them back. With how his kit works, you're still going to be on them. The hammer's going to glow blue. You're going to melee again. This gets your Thorforce back and 100 bonus health. So it's dash, 3 primaries, dash, 3 primaries, repeat. And for the rest of the video, I'm going to refer to this combo as the Bully Bash. Whenever I say Bully Bash, this is what I'm talking about. Dash in, 3 primaries, dash, 3 primaries, dash. This combo creates so much constant pressure and displacement. And the most important thing you can do is look up when you dash them, because this is going to knock them up and back into the air, and it displaces more. On the enemy side, the knockback throws enemies off their game, what they're doing. It really displaces healers. Against tanks, you can reposition them, push them off to the side, have your own little battle with them, or try to keep knocking them and booping them back into your team. Just constantly keep them out of position. Every time you do that dash, you're going to be harder to hit for the enemy team because you're moving forward at an angle, up and down, constantly refreshing 100 health. And that's why it's so oppressive. It's the sustainability of it. Like every dash gives you 100 health up to 200 max. It makes you incredibly hard to duel. I mean, incredibly hard to deal with. And the damage output is also consistent. You get 40 damage from hitting them with the dash, then 45 melee, 45 melee, 45 melee, then the 40 dash again, repeat. This works against any hero. I use it on all of them. Even more so DPS and strategists. Because you don't really need big damage attacks. You have bulk just to overpower them. Keeping the pressure on, bullying them. Most heroes can't handle it. Because while you're in the air, as you both are falling down, you're getting in swings. And before you know it, a second and a half has passed, they're going right back up in the air again. Straight bully. And I do view this as his base combo because it is that good. In between, you're going to be adding more. We'll get to it as we go. Lightning Realm is a little misunderstood. Summon lightning that restores Thorforce based on the number of enemies hit. Your E on controller's top left bumper. So on cast, it's got a 5-meter spell radius. It's up for 4 seconds. It's a blue bubble. Your enemies see it as a red bubble. Its main function is that, yeah, for each enemy hit within the spell area, you get a point of Thorforce. 2 enemies are caught in it, you get 2 charges back. But what's not stated are the other 2 functions. It deals 40 damage when enemies cross the boundaries of it, the outside, meaning if you cast it on them and they're inside and they move out, the moment they do, they get hit with 40 damage. And on top of that, enemies that cross that boundary are also slowed by 30%. So, look at this ability in this light. You're trying to place this bubble on enemies. Honestly, the free Thorforce is just the icing on top, but the real thing that you're doing is you're guaranteeing 40 damage to them and you're guaranteed to slow them because you have constant pressure. They will be moving. And again, excellent to place on strategists and DPS characters. Because as I went over, you're hitting them with the Mjolnir Bash. Each time you dash into them, you're right on top of them. So at any point, just drop the bubble. And 99 out of 100 times, they're going to self-inflict themselves. Because they're going to be backing up. They're going to be trying to get away from you. They will get hit by the 40 damage and they will be slowed. The other times, the 1 out of 100, you're going to be taking them right out of the bubble because you're doing the Mjolnir Bash combo. It's one or the other. It's happening. They're either going to do it to themselves or you're going to force it. It's really good to get strategists in there because it's going to be hard for them to survive. They're slowed 30%. You have constant pressure. You keep regaining health. It's very good. It's even good on tanks. It's adding more damage to them. As soon as you dash onto them, you could drop it or do a couple Mjolnir Bash combos. In between, drop the bubble. Like I said, they're going to self-inflict themselves because they're constantly backpedaling or trying to jump away, or you're going to dash them right out of it. Another useful way is when you use your ultimate, and we'll talk about the ultimate in a moment. You're going to dash into an area of where you want to ult, drop the bubble on your key target. Most of the time, it's going to be a DPS, a problematic one, but mainly a strategist. Their Luna, their cloak, whatever. You dash in, drop the bubble, immediately pop the ult. The ultimate is going to give them tick damage. They're inside the bubble, they're trying to move out of the spell field. When they cross that bubble, they're going to get ticked for 40, and they can't fully get away because they're slowed by 30%. It's a very important tool for the ultimate, and since you are popping this bubble on an enemy, the damage is just on top. It's a very good ability. Awakening Rune is massive damage, some of the most damage in the game for an ability, but as with the guides, there's a lot to know about it. Consume Thorforce to enter the awakened state, granting bonus health and enhancing Mjolnir Bash. You need all 3 charges. Press the button, you consume all 3, you gain 200 bonus health, and when you do this, this is a commitment, because you're in this state for 5 seconds. No other abilities can be used, you're just throwing out lightning strikes. These lightning strikes travel at 60 meters a second, so they're on the slow side, but each one deals 70 damage. But there's more. At the core, heavy damage very quickly. But a big tip here, just like we talked about with the Mjolnir Bash combo, just be holding the primary. Always be holding the primary. Same for this too. And this is something that you could try in the practice range and see what I'm talking about. Because I'm talking milliseconds. Milliseconds here. The time it takes for you to press F to activate, and then right after that, hit your left click to fire it, it's too long. If you're holding down the primary, then use the Awakening Rune. It animation cancels wherever you are in your primary animations. The Awakening Rune takes over, and when it takes over, it immediately fires your shots. By doing this, you can shoot 11 of these lightning strikes. Unless you're fast enough, you're only going to get 10. Like I said, try it out for yourself in the range. Hold your primary button and be aiming when you want to use this ability. And honestly, this goes for all of his abilities. If you get out 11, that's 770 damage in 5 seconds. Immense pressure, but there's more. Around Thor, there's a spell field that extends 3 meters. It hits for 15 damage a second, and for whatever reason on the counter, 00 is counting as a tick, so it ticks a total of 6 times. And that's a total of 90 damage over the duration of this ability. So if you take the full damage output of Awakening Rune, it's 860 damage from the strikes and the AoE. And in the opening, I talked about Thor being suffocating. This is what I mean. This is what I'm talking about. Because especially versus tanks, it could be any hero, DPS, strategist, tank, walk them down. Suffocate them. Get in their space. Because I found, here's the deal, when you pop this, you are committed. It's the only thing you can do. So for you to pop it, you want to have max health. And when you do, you have the 200 bonus health on top. So if you're committed, you're making sure you're going to down or get very low, whatever you're aiming at. You have the 200 bonus health, and basically you're challenging them. Like right then and there, out damage me. But in the game, They're getting healed. You're getting healed. In the end, this attack, your damage outweighs their healing. Pretty much always. Unless it's like a soul bond or a rune. You know what I mean. It's just high damage very quickly. 70 back to back to back to back over and over and hitting them with tick damage every second from the AoE. It adds up. That's one of my favorite ways to use it. Find a target that needs to go down. It could be a Luna. It could be their tank. I need to get them out of the way. I have healing behind me. I just walk into them, walk them down, doing as much damage as I can, suffocating them. Now, this is also good for flyers. Say your DPS isn't taking them out. Maybe it's an Iron Man, a Storm, a Star-Lord, or maybe they're low and you see them, you have your Awakening Rune. You can help. Of course, do this. Now, it flies at 60 meters a second. There's some leading to it. It's more difficult than it seems, but it is a viable way to use this. I prefer to walk enemies down with it. Another great way is to shred a Doctor Strange shield. I mean, just end it. Get out of the way. A Strange comes up, puts up that shield. It will break the shield, and you're just going to proceed to bully him with the bully combo. But honestly, for Strange, you don't even need to use the Awakening Rune to take down a shield. You can just bully bash him over and over. He's got nothing against Thor. The Strange will scurry in the air and fly away. Or try to. It's a very strong ability that you can use a ton. You're going to weave it in with the playstyle that you choose, and I'll go over that in the playstyle section. God of Thunder is an okay ultimate. Soar upwards and smite the ground after charging for duration, inflicting damage on enemies within range. So when you pop the ultimate, he goes in the air. There's a circle on the ground. It's a cylinder shape. Enemies within the spell field are hit with 40 damage. It's tick damage. And then he'll drop down and deal 220 damage to everything within that spell field. There's a couple ways to go about this. Even if it's chipped to get certain priority targets low, it's going to be a good ultimate to use. Because after that, you and your team can clean them up. It's mostly for DPS and strategists. Again, mainly strategists. One way to do it is to dash onto them. Say you find their Luna. Usually their supports are together. That's the best. Right after you dash, pop the bubble, then ult. And this is going to be harder for them to get away. They're being ticked from the ultimate. When they leave the bubble, that does 40 damage, and when they leave the bubble, they're 30% slowed. Another way to use it is to use it to cross a gap. Say they're a little bit further away. A full charge with a dash, you go 20 meters. You angle that in the air, go towards their direction, and use the momentum to get this ultimate moving. And when you're that high in the air, it's a little bit easier to aim and follow the priority target that you want. This thing isn't the best, but not the worst. It can and does get downs. Or maybe you're into their back line, doing damage, opportunity comes up, just ult. Thor's team-ups, I feel, are some of the best in the game. First with Captain America and Storm. And Captain America and Thor together, just pure pressure. I actually started a console account and mained Captain America. I believe I won on a 37, or maybe it was 36, but it was like 37-0 win streak in comp. And the team-up with Thor is incredible for Cap. It allows a special ability throw with the shield that does nice damage. Same goes with Storm. She gets an extra powerful ability, a Chain Lightning. Thor makes both these characters just better because the team up. And then we have Hela. When Hela lands a final hit in defeating an enemy, she can instantly resurrect Loki and Thor in the respawn phase. Or she grants them bonus health if they're still alive. So if she's just getting downs while you're out there, she's throwing on an extra 50 health. There'll be times when you go down and she resurrects you with 80% health. It's one of the strongest things in the game, bringing a tank back after they just got down right back into the fight. Awesome team ups. There's a ton of ways to play Thor, but this is how I found the most success. Thor applies so much pressure and has so much survivability that you do feel invincible. You aren't, remember that. So what I like to do, always, starting off any duel, is starting with the Bully Bash combo. Dash in, deal damage, get 100 health. Just this, I am telling you, I've tried them all, different ways to do things, because they all work well in different areas, different ways, but I found there's no reason not to start here, because you're displacing them, especially if you knock them up into the air over and over. While you're doing that, they have to focus on you. They end up burning and missing abilities. They're calling for a peel. They need help, so multiple people get involved. But you're dashing, you're jumping in the air, moving around. Your survivability skyrockets. But this is where you start. You dash on the enemy, start the combo, knocking them around. From here, you have multiple options. What I like to do, once you see them get about half health, or where you want them to be, you've displaced them where you want them, switch your combo over to the hammer cancel, or the brawling combo. Because the hammer throw is the most damage Thor can do with his main kit, aside from the Awakening Rune. It's 70 damage. And all you do is just do the melee cancel. And when you start doing that, the same rules apply. You're always holding down the primary button. 1, 2, 3, throw the hammer. 1, 2, 3, throw the hammer. And again, each time you're getting 100 health and you're walking them down. And to reiterate, his kit plays so much easier when you're just holding the primary the entire time as you're walking people down. It makes your awakening rune guaranteed to have 11 strikes. At any point during your primary's animation, as long as there's a cooldown there, immediately when you press it, Thor will do that ability. Another thing you can do is right after you dash the first time, right onto them, drop a bubble. Or once you see them half health, say you're doing the Mjolnir Bash combo, they get half health, drop a bubble on them. This gets Thorforce back, and you can start throwing in the Awakening Rune just for heavy damage. Once you pop that, you get 200 health. But remember, if you pop the Awakening Rune, you are committed. That's why I like to wait until they're about half health, or I need something gone. It could be a strategist that I know is very close to getting their ultimate. Just walk them down with your Awakening Rune. And remember to be close to them if you can, because you're getting 90 total damage of tick damage. When somebody's already low, dash onto them, then start doing the hammer combo, that brawling combo. Anytime a dive happens on you or a support, say you need to peel for them, drop down your bubble. That Spider-Man, Black Panther, they're going to walk through it. When that happens, they're going to take damage, they're going to get slowed down. And usually it's enough time for everybody to recuperate, or you can grab them with a dash. And by doing it this way, starting with that Mjolnir Bash combo, you're very hard to deal with. Multiple enemies usually have to get involved. B, you're moving around, giving yourself 100 health every second and a half, and wasting their abilities. But more importantly, C, your DPS can focus whoever you're bullying. And I haven't talked about it up until this point, but that's the goal. They're going to be solely focused on you. They have to be. You're right in their face. But if you have a Bucky with you, a Magic, a Captain America, whoever, they can just unload into them while you're pushing them around. Pressure, pressure, pressure. And if it gets sticky, you just dash out. You're going to be hunting strategists and duelists. You're looking to bully them, but you're also going to have to duel tanks, and you're going to bully them too. While you're doing that, hopefully your DPS is focusing on them. You're doing damage, they're doing damage. They're going to be quick work. And your role is to disrupt key enemies. When you dash on them and tackle them, you force them to focus on you. It's stopping their ability to heal. It's stopping a problematic DPS like Moon Knight or a Punisher to do what they're doing. That's the main goal. But fortunately, Thor is incredibly versatile. If the enemy Groot or Strange, they're causing problems for your team, start to bully them around, hopefully your team focuses on them as well. The constant pressure makes Thor one of the best tanks in the game when played aggressively. So I hope this guide gave you a solid foundation and you can find success with Thor. Over time, you're going to start to understand his limits with how aggressive you can be. And that's what you want to do, because once you figure out those boundaries, you're going to become even deadlier, what you can and cannot get away with. But you have to put in time and learn him. When you do, Thor's a great asset to your team. If you're new here, remember to hit the subscribe button. And if you are subscribed, thank you so much for your support. Let's talk about Thor down below. What are your thoughts? And as always, share any tips that you have. Help each other out. Gather as much information as you can from here, Reddit, other videos. Be the best player that you can be. But let's talk about it down below. Thank you for watching. And until the next one, I am CoolGuy.